Apps here from Digital. Welcome to our impressions of Red Dead Redemption 2. We've spent the first weekend doing not a lot else other than playing Red Dead Redemption 2, so this is just some early impressions of the game. And on this occasion, I'm joined by the main man himself. It's Logan. How's it going?
Yeah, not bad. Exactly who you don't want doing these sort of chats, but he's here nonetheless.
It's convenience, isn't it? It's not necessarily the right
absolutely.
Man. But you just got to get who you can at this level.
Right place, wrong man.
So it came out Friday just gone. You went for a digital download, which was brave.
I ain't dealing with the hassle.
No, there is that stress if you want it on day one to be having to get it. Those posties can't be trusted if you're ordering it online, and it does cut out a lot of the stress. I went and picked up my pre-order at midnight, installed the fucker. It took about 2 hours, went to bed, woke up Friday, played it most of Friday, most of Saturday evening, and then bits and bobs during Sunday. Haven't played it since then. How much time have you been spending with Red Dead Redemption 2 so we can just gauge hours in? I think Adkins put a leaderboard up and I was on something like 29 hours over the first weekend.
I think mine is 18 to... It might even be more than that now. It might be in the 20s, I think.
I mean, in some games they're already completed by that point, aren't they? I've done them.
Well completed.
They're well completed, but it feels like I've just about kind of got my feet in the world and I understand what I'm doing. Highly anticipated game. Rockstar Studios or Rockstar Games creation. They only come around once every fucking 6 years, twice a decade is as good as you get a new Rockstar game. You've not played... I don't remember the last time you bought a game like on launch other than a Football Manager of sorts that will be coming out later this year. But people are querying that, saying, why's this got the nod?
I'm trying to think now what the last release game I bought. Fuck me. A long time ago, I think. A long old time ago. Yeah. Why did this get the nod? Because, as you say, it's a Rockstar game. And
that's it.
I bloody love... Two of my favourite franchises ever are the Red Dead franchise and Grand Theft Auto. They are absolute dead certs. I've loved both of them.
Yeah.
So this was always a shoe-in. It's one of those where I can just commit to it and I know that it's worth the time and the money.
Yeah.
Like, it's unlike me just to go for pay the premium and get a digital download. I don't do that. I'll generally wait for things or I'll shop around a little bit. But I was like, do you know what? For something like that, I don't mind paying 60 quid. I'll pay the £10 premium and I'll have it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will end up doing that. I mean, it's a huge game. I think it's topping out about 100 gig in the end, so other less fortunate games had to be removed to make way for this big boy. We've played an awful lot of it. I think one place to start is the story. Now, we're not going to go into any plot points. Generally, Red Dead Redemption 2 kind of is on a pedestal of what a great story in an open world game can be, following John Marston's tale. GTA 5 switches up the formula a bit and you get to control 3 characters. So three very different personalities and they had unique kind of abilities each. I thought they might continue that with Red Dead Redemption 2, but it's been quite clear in the lead up that we're taking control of just one character, and that's Arthur Morgan. Story-wise, obviously without giving anything away, how has that sat with you so far? Are you enjoying what's going on? Because this is a prequel to Red Dead Redemption.
Yes. So I actually deliberately didn't watch anything to do with the lead up to this game.
Right.
I didn't watch any of the release trailers, nothing, because
media blackout.
Well, yeah, because I thought I don't need to be hyped up for it, and I don't need to know anything about it. I just wanted to, on release, just go in and see what it was. And I actually didn't know it was a prequel until I booted it up. I didn't even know that. So I was like, I was actually expecting to get a continuation with Jack Marston.
Yeah.
But I didn't. They did the whole pre-story thing, and actually what I did was, I tell a lie, the only thing I did was watch a story summation of Red Dead 1, because I thought it's been 8 years since I played that. Probably need that refresh just to see where we're at.
Yeah,
Pointless.
I watched GameSpot's one, I think, on that.
Pointless. Didn't even need it, because there's no continuation. So I started up and I was like, fucking hell, that's 20 minutes down the drain that I've already lost watching that shit. But I would have preferred. I think if you'd asked me, I'd have preferred a continuation because it's Red Dead Redemption 2. It implies it's the next part of the story when it isn't. It's what happened before.
Yeah.
And as I say, it's that I think disappointed me initially, but actually, as I've got into it, it's actually quite nice, or I'm quite enjoying seeing how it all got to that point.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. We're all working towards that point, we assume, because there's a lot of during Red Dead Redemption. They mention a lot about the old gang, Dutch's Vandalin gang, who Dutch's boys they're known as, and you don't really see them in full flow at all because by the time Red Dead Redemption comes along, they've already split up, something's happened or whatever, and Marston's kind of just going to go round and he's trying to round up the last stragglers of that group. So it is nice to see these characters before that and see people like John Marston who appears in the game. He's not like a cameo. He's part of the gang whilst you're there. So he's knocking around the camp, which we'll come on to at some point, and he's there during missions. And it's interesting just seeing him in a different environment, not directly controlling him, and seeing him in his younger days. And I like it seems like there's a presumption that he's thick, like he's a bit brain dead, and there's constant kind of jabs towards his intelligence. I don't know where that's come from, but his wife's there and Jack also there as a kid, so it's good seeing them in that sort of environment and being able to interact with John on that level, which I find interesting.
I find it interesting, but I find it weird. Yeah. Like sometimes I'll be riding along and John will be there, obviously as part of the crew, and I get confused about the voices, about which character I am. Because I'm so, it almost transports me back to when I was playing it before, and I'm sitting there riding along, and it's really, to all intents and purposes, when you're riding on a horse, they basically, you can't really tell a whole load of difference as to what character you are. Yeah. You hear John's voice, then you go back to Arthur's, and you go, hang on, what's going on here? Who's his who's? But it's strange playing it, whilst not being able to affect John. Yeah. Does that make sense? Like, whatever John's doing is kind of set in stone, so you can't affect that into the next story. The only person you can affect is Arthur.
Yeah.
That I've come across so far, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we know where John's story is going to wind up down the road.
Yeah.
To my knowledge, I don't remember Arthur being mentioned in Red Dead Redemption, so I've got really no idea where he's going to toil away.
No, exactly. He was a new character to me. I thought that might just be me that didn't remember Arthur. I'm not even sure if they referenced him in Red Dead, but obviously there might be a reason for that.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, during that game, you're chasing down Dutch and Bill Williamson primarily. Yeah. Those are the sort of two who are both in this gang here. And this is set during a time when, I guess, the outlaw period is coming to an end almost. So civilization is reaching the rural and western parts of the greater USA. People are starting to have laws in place, rules are followed, and etc. And this gang really is kind of they grew up and developed during a time when that wasn't the case. They were kind of just running around, robbing, doing whatever they wanted with little or no consequence. Now they're essentially being hunted for carrying out these crimes, and it seems to be like there's a struggle for them to adapt, or whether they even are going to change their ways as a gang, in terms of, do we carry on down this road or do we try and change? And I imagine there's going to be some sort of conflict with that at some point during the story itself. Arthur himself, what do you make of him? Because you've obviously got a little bit of agency over what happens. You can make certain decisions during quests, and your actions in the world either add honour or decrease his honour. But how do you find him as a character itself? Because obviously you're spending a lot of time with him, so you'd hope that he's an interesting person to be, taking control of.
I think he is. I think we discussed this though when we had the original Red Dead, and it gives you the opportunity basically to define who you are. So. But the problem I have with it is I don't get the impression that Arthur's an absolute bastard. So it makes it difficult for me I get the impression he's in my head. He's the sort of guy, and I've had, without dropping spoilers, there's times there's events when he kind of confides a little bit, and you get into a little bit of his mentality. And he seems a bit.
He's got his head screwed on.
He's got his head screwed on, but I think he's confused about whether to do good or bad.
Yeah.
Or whether he's a good or a bad person.
Yeah.
And that's kind of good because it allows you to shape it. But I think because he's got that confusion, it naturally leans me towards him wanting to be a good guy.
Mate, Anakin Skywalker had that confusion. Look how he ended up.
Yeah, I know, but
fucking slaughtered a load of kids. That's what can happen if it goes wrong. People snap.
And sometimes I test the waters, and early on I thought, right, I'm going to put this bastard out his misery, and I did, and it just didn't feel right, and I was like, right, I can't be doing that again.
Yeah,
like, it just doesn't sit right sometimes. So I think he's done, and there's some stuff where he sees like Dutch as more of a teacher rather than an outlaw and stuff like that, and I think, in their heads, they are trying to be free and good people and not live by all these ridiculous rules. But at the same time, they're going robbing trains, so it makes me go, right.
Yeah,
I don't really know.
They do during some activities you carry out. There is sometimes it's mentioned by one or two of the characters that we just want to get in and get the money. There's no need for innocents to be hurt. So there is some sort of code for them that they follow, i.e. don't just go around slaughtering people.
It's not a bad code, that.
No, yeah, I think that's
wrong with it, can you?
You really can't. If you just keep to that sort of not slaughtering people, you probably won't get in too much trouble in life. But I think when it comes to other outlaws or gangs, all bets are off. Like, they are brutal and savage and will do anything to get a one-up on another gang or bandits, things like that. So I think there is some sort of code there, and I guess it's how far do you take that and do you apply that to those rules when you're just wandering around one of the towns or whatever. But I feel like he's conflicted, which is a good thing, because I didn't feel like John Marston was conflicted at all. It was, I'm kind of being forced to track down my old gang members here because my wife and kid are essentially being kidnapped by the government. I'm going to help the law out to find them because they've got bounties on their heads. And, at no point did it feel right to get that achievement where you had to tie a woman up, put her on the tracks and watch a train run her over. That was not worth the 5G because Marston wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
It was too far on the good side in my view. I feel like with Arthur there is opportunity to explore his darker side there, and who knows what's going to happen in the future of the story. But I agree. It's leaning more towards potentially him being a bit of a good or better guy. But things can change, and maybe if you do more dastardly things, his dialogue changes, things like that. We'll see later on down the line. I want to skip on to the gameplay because I don't know what I was expecting, because it's a Rockstar game. I knew it would be good, but it feels very, very similar to GTA 5, and probably, I've not played Red Dead Redemption in so long, I can't remember, but I imagine it feels very similar to that. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's certainly not it's not changing the way that you play these open world games, is it? They've got a formula they've got in terms of their combat, for example, and it's pretty much sticking to it.
Yeah, the combat, or at least hand to hand as well, is quite similar. The one thing that it doesn't have, which kind of I had to just figure out, was the cover system. That's kind of like you just crawl up to something and it will just become sticky cover, but it doesn't. I find that a little bit frustrating.
You can press RB to do it, but I agree. Like when it says like crouch behind a rock, which isn't like a flat surface, if you sort of jostle and move, he pops off it sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm like, get your head get out of that. Yeah. Stick to it.
Whereas in
GTA, you're doing it against a building wall. It's flat. I guess it's easier. But with those rocks and weird bits of terrain, sometimes, and like barrels and stuff, I'm like, don't feel like I'm attached to it slightly. Yeah,
I'm not too. It feels a little bit too loose for me, that, especially when the battles it's not like you're just fighting one or two people. Generally, you're going up against bloody loads of the bastards, and you think, right, I need to get this right. And don't get me wrong, it's more forgiving with the Deadeye system.
Yes,
but it's still that's a little bit of a concern. You can obviously go from the old third person to first person.
Yeah.
Haven't done too much of that, but yeah, it ultimately feels the same. I'll use the word sometimes it can feel a little bit clunky, although that feels a little bit hypercritical because I don't know, like there's sometimes when I'm just sort of trying to sleep in my bed or whatever, and I'm sort of struggling to.
I know what it is. It's very animation heavy, isn't it? Like it wants to do a specific animation, and it has to, in order for it to happen. Sometimes if you like initiate sleep slightly off angle, he will be like, nope, I need to just sort of walk out, turn around, sit back, and it can feel slow and heavy when you do things like that. And like when you're stroking your horse, things like that. It needs to kind of, and this is part of the presentation, I guess. They want it to look nice whenever it does something. It doesn't just like clip through a wall or whatever. But when you're trying to do things speedily, it is frustrating. You're like, fucking move.
Yeah.
Let me run around that fucking camp. What havoc's that going to cause?
Yeah, there are a few little. It is quite unforgiving in its boundaries. So, like, what was it I was doing? I was walking around an enemy camp at one point, and I accidentally found myself walking up some stairs. I'm like, one of them like water towers.
Yeah.
And I accidentally went up there. I was like, fucking hell. And I thought, right, I'll run round and I'll go back down. And I literally just fell off the edge and fucking clonked myself on the floor. And I was like, they normally don't. There's normally an invisible barrier. Like, gaming has taught me that there's an invisible barrier there. And they're right, there isn't one. They're right not to have one there. But there are things in it, and it feels like it's a negative because it's more aligned to real life. But because I'm not used to having them in a game, it throws me. And like, I'll be running through town on my horse, and I can't see what the fuck's in front of me because I'm on a horse, unsurprisingly. And all of a sudden, I'll knock some geezer over that's in the middle of the road, and then I'm like, right, I didn't see you there. What are you doing, stumbling about in the road? And then he goes, it's a crime. And I go, well, I've done nothing wrong. Hang on. And I go down, and then there's fucking Rozzers after me, and I'm wanted. And I'm like, I've done nothing wrong. Gaming usually would eradicate that for me, and it would just clip it out of the way, or it just would. Do you know what I mean? So it happened. But there are things that happen that are irritating me because I didn't intend to do them, but because it's got this realistic. It feels like a negative. Does that make sense? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. There is a balance. Obviously, you don't want to play Life Simulator 2018 edition because it wouldn't be much fun. But they obviously try and implement, their take on real life and whatnot, and try and keep it, aligned closely. I felt like it's certainly looking back at GTA 4, which I really enjoyed story-wise. People had a lot of complaints about that because they said the driving was too realistic and it wasn't as fun, it wasn't as outlandish as, San Andreas. And then with GTA 5, that almost felt like a response because you had the craziness of Trevor, you had all the crazy side quests and all the random shit you could end up doing. In the Wild West, you haven't really got that kind of freedom to do much crazy stuff, but it's a bit more grounded, I'd say. And the lore or the wanted level is something that I have a bit of not a concern over, but it's a little bit inconsistent. Like, I commit a crime with you can pull your bandana up, and that's supposed to kind of mean they can't identify you if you do commit a crime, but I've done a crime, run off from the situation, got away with nobody really seeing other than one witness, and then a bounty's been put on my head for $20, and I'm like, well, hang on, I thought I couldn't see who I was, so how are they getting that? So that I don't know. Maybe that's just a one-off, but that has happened. It feels like it's happened more than it should have done, and it's a bit of I can't quite work out how to play that. Whether there's even any point in putting the bandana up. Maybe we're just doing it wrong.
Yeah, but, I don't know. I can't. I can't figure it out sometimes. It's like I said to you the other day. You have to go to the post office to pay your bounty off, and I was getting annoyed because I had a bounty on me. It's only like $15, but I was like, I need to get rid of this. It's doing me head in. So I thought I'll go to the post office and pay it off. So I've rode there. I've got off. Some geezer's had a go at me, and I've tried to defuse it, and he's had a go at me again and tried to punch me. So I've gone, right, I ain't having that. So I've put him down, gone into the post office, paid me bounty, come out, and then there's a witness, and I was like, oh, the geezer started on me. I was like, what am I supposed to do here? So I then had to run after this witness who ran into town, and I jumped and got the witness and said, pack that in.
Yeah.
And then another witness saw me having a go at that witness and ran off into town. And I just thought, I've done nothing wrong here other than try and explain the situation away. And in the end, I just thought, right, I'm just going to have to let him go, because if I try and stop him, it's just going to be an endless. It'll be another one. So I was like, crack on. But I was just, stuff like that annoys me, because I've done nothing wrong there. The game has just decided to play it that way, and I've then got to pay another bloody bounty or whatever. Like, I don't know.
Be the bigger man, walk away from conflict. You're trying to make him good.
Didn't he?
Well,
he
just
chucked it at me.
Just block it and walk away and say, I ain't dealing with you, mate.
If that was me in real life, I'd just gone, look, I've already got one bounty to pay. I know on another. Just pack it in, all right? I ain't got the funds for this. I'm trying to piss it up the wall on whiskey. So, anyway.
Have you done much interaction with the NPCs? They made a big deal, and you probably want to see this, they made a big deal about you being able to talk to civilians, and you can either greet them or antagonise them, or you can diffuse certain situations. Have you experimented with that much, or not really got too involved?
I try and greet, I'll sort of, as I'm walking through the town, I'll try and greet people and stuff.
Say howdy.
Basically, the majority of them are pissed off at me for various reasons that I won't go into.
Yeah.
Understandably, to be fair. But I'd sort of try and diffuse the situation and greet him every time. And I see a little thing pop up. I presume it's my popularity or my morality or something like that in the town. I have a little bit, but it feels like one of those things, I think as we've said with other games, it's one of those where it's like, it's not, it's very basic, I think.
Yeah, it's not a full dialogue tree or anything like that. You have two options essentially, and you'll get a different reaction. Like when people are mouthing off to me, sometimes I'll mouth back, and then that normally ends up in a fight. When that happens, typically, unless I kill them, I like choke them or just pull out a gun. Usually, I don't get the brothers after me. They don't send, if it's like a one-on-one fight that's just been instigated, I typically get away with it. But again, I think that comes back to your point that I think it's maybe a little bit inconsistent, because I have had instances where I'm sure that I've been, like some geezer challenged me to a duel randomly, and I went, all right then, blew him away, and then someone ran off and went, hang on, he's just shot him. And I was like, well, hang on, it's either me or him. It was a gentlemanly agreement for a duel. I don't know whether this is them trying to take the outlaw's age is ending a little bit too far, if that makes sense. Like, you will be punished for crimes rather than letting too much slide.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what they're going for, really. I like the witness system. Like, I like it if you go around and you're just blasting people away and someone sees it. They don't just turn a blind eye. That's fine. I just don't like it when someone has a go, you knock them on the floor. Like, there's another one where I knocked a geezer out because he had a go at me, and I looted him. And they went and reported me for looting him. I was like, well, look, surely if I've knocked him out, it's free game, whatever he's got in his pocket. I was like, why are you letting me knock him out? And then you're opposed to me pulling something out of his fucking pocket, a bag of cigarettes or something. I was like, what are we doing? But I don't know. I'm either trying to figure it out, but I just feel like sometimes I'm just like, oh, just let me have a bit of fun. Like, without having a go at me and making me go to a fucking post office and pay the bounty. I've got enough to worry about here. Like, I'm doing my chores in the bloody camp. Like, give me a chance to do something fun. I don't know. It's absolutely being hypercritical, because I absolutely love it. But it's just that little thing there. I'm either still learning what I can and can't do with it, or it's very strict. That's the only way I can describe it at the moment.
No, yeah, I think it's one of the two. I mean, it could be that we've not quite figured it out yet.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll come back and identify that when it washes out in a full review. So one of the new things they've added is this camp system, where you're part of obviously Dutch's gang. There's several people in that gang, and there's like a home base, almost like a homestead that you reside in. How are you finding that? Because you were mentioning the first few days you were just spending your time walking around carrying buckets of water from one place to another, filling up wash baskets.
It fucking took me ages to figure that out. Don't know why. I think it's because I had a load to go. I was still trying to figure out what was what on the map and what meant what. Yeah. And I didn't see the little yellow bit because it just kind of merged into everything. So it was like, oh, pick up this wash bucket, and I was like, fucking hell do I do with it then? And I'm not wandering around camp trying to figure out where this fucking bucket goes. I was just experimenting, really. As I say, I was I wanted to figure it all out. There's just a lot going on, isn't there? That's the only way I can describe it. I'm trying to figure out like bit by bit, and it does a pretty good job, to be fair, of it, of trying to teach you and educate you through it, through missions and stuff. It does a good job of that, but there are some bits like the chores where it just goes crack on, and you sort of just go like you only figure it out through like actually doing it, and you go, oh, that makes me dead eye better, does it? Right, okay, I'll better be doing that then. Like, yeah, it's a little bit. Some of it teaches you, because there's so much of it. I guess if it tried to teach you everything, it just blow you away. Like, it just take forever. Yeah. So, I quite like the idea of it. I quite like the idea because when you earn money, I suppose your instinct is to hoard that and buy stuff for yourself. Yes. The camp encourages you to split that and actually give money to the camp for upgrades. So that's it. I quite like that idea. I don't know how useful the camp is as yet. No, if that makes sense. Like,
you can like buy upgrades that give you stat bonuses or boosts, and I think fast travel is somewhere in the camp. So if you want to start utilising fast travel from the camp, you need to put some money in to upgrade that. And there's things like, obviously, one of the things that you're encouraged to do is bring back food for the camp. So there's like there's an icon basically. It's 3 icons: one for ammunition, one for medicine, one for food. It seems like the medicine and the ammunition doesn't go down unless you go into the boxes and take it. So if you don't use the medicine or you don't use the ammunition, you haven't got to worry about those two. But the food seems to go down, the less that you input into that. And some of the upgrades you can do is just basically means when you bring back a bit of food that you've gone hunting for, it goes longer, it lasts for longer, But the thing that I get a little bit frustrated with is that there's no kind of direct feedback. I like to have a meter to show me how close I am. Yeah. It's just a coloured icon. I'm like, right, it's gone red, and then it goes grey, and then you think, right, well, how far am I away from getting that yellow where it's like topped out? And you don't know until you start applying stuff. As you say, like a bar that goes, once it goes below a certain level, you can see that you need more. Like, and then you can judge whether you go, right, today just need a rabbit.
Get up and go. Yeah, do I need to go
a big fucker?
Yeah, but saying that, I went in. Like, one of the first things I did was go and I caught a deer, and I thought, right, that'll sort me out for a little while. I couldn't find anywhere to put the fucking deer, so.
Oh right, yeah.
Right, and I was getting really stressed out. This is another thing. This is an hour gone. Like, just trying to figure out where this deer goes. Like, I was like, because I thought, right, I can just give him the deer. Like, I'll go, there you go. So do what you need to with it. But he just wouldn't do anything with it. So I thought, right, I'm fucking knackered. I'll leave it on the floor somewhere and I'll come back and sort that out in the morning. Come back and it was rotten. I was like, right. I was like, overnight? I was like, what are we doing?
Left it out. Wasn't chilled, mate.
I was just like, all right, I ain't going hunting for a little while until I figure out what the fuck I can do with it.
Yeah, in those cases, you just got to bring it back on the horse, leave it on the horse, go and talk to him, and then it'll trade it in. I thought, I didn't think it'd be that simple either. I was picking it up, trying to take it over there, dropping it, and it wasn't appearing. I was like, what's going on here? And then essentially you just ride into camp with the horse, drop the horse off, go and talk to him, and then he'll take it off your hands when you speak to him. But it doesn't really explain that to you. And that's in the early goings. I certainly had a lot of difficulty with the camp trying to figure out what I needed to do to increase the icons and make sure everyone's got food and whatnot. And then another thing that was a bit of a change is how the sort of your health, stamina, and dead eye is managed. There's there's 3 like icons for that. There's a circle on the outside which represents your health or your meter, and on the inside is what's known as a core, and that core over time degrades, and the further that degrades, the slower your regeneration of those stats are. And that took a little bit of my trying to get my head around it, but essentially you just got to keep on top of it by eating, taking tonics, things like that, and crafting. It seems like there's a lot of busy work. It's kind of dipping its toe into almost like a survival game, isn't it? Where not too much, where it's unbearable, where you've got to keep on eating and pissing and wiping your ass, things like that. But just kind of enough so that you're aware of it, and I guess it's just encouraging you to use other systems. But that might put some people off. Like, I can imagine Biff slowly getting pissed off with that as time goes on. Going, why have I got to look at? Why aren't they wiping their own arse? Especially when you look in that ledger and you go, right, I've put in $400 here. He's just put in a $5. What's he doing?
I made a promise to myself that I'm not even going to look at that ledger. Like I'm not.
It'll infuriate you when you see what people
It'll annoy
are doing.
me because I know it'll be one of those things where I go, right, it's basically me funding this operation, and I'll just go no. So I've already made myself a promise. So I don't need to be looking at that. But yeah, I don't mind that system. I seem to have sussed it out by I'll do like a mission or two or whatever, and I'll just sleep it. I'll just go to sleep for like 8 hours, 19 hours, whatever I need until the morning. Yeah. And that's kind of how I've got round it. Because I just think, right, I'll do that. And then I can get up and have some stew in the morning, and it just sorts it out. So I've kind of got a system for that. And it's not, I quite like just doing a couple of missions or whatever and then going, right, I'll go and base myself back at home. And another thing you can do is rent out of the hotel and have a bath and that there. So I did that once and that was all right. Did that, got that ticked off. So it's all right. It's a little bit, as you say, survivalist or RPG like, which is okay, but it's not overbearing. And I like the idea that I can upgrade them. It actually gives me a reason to want to upgrade them. So I'm okay with it. It's not too much of a problem.
So how do you find this sort of like dipping into the RPG elements? Was it an unnecessary bolt-on? Because I know you're a fan of simplicity and stripping back sometimes the experience so you can get on with it.
I don't mind it. It does. So I kind of picked it up and thought, right, am I going to be able to just go and play through it and there'll be some side missions or whatever? It's clearly much more than that, and I'm okay with it. It seems like natural evolution from Red Dead 1.
Yes.
It is.
This wouldn't work in GTA though, would it? Like eating, sleeping, things like that. Like it feels like
right pain in the arse.
Yeah, it feels like they've done it because it's encouraging you you're set in the wilderness mostly and you are camping out, and it kind of has that feel of the Revenant, I find, where they're living like this essentially from camp to camp. And it fits. I guess what I'm trying to say is it fits the setting, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
These mechanics, rather than if that was in GTA and it was like, right, time for sleep, and he's like, well, definitely not. We're going to go out and run some people over. That's not. But
yeah, it's different. It's different strokes for different folks, and it's clearly a different sort of game. It's you can tell they're surviving, so there's a survival element about it, which I'm cool with, and they're trying to get some money together, and they're trying to get themselves sorted and set, and it's like, okay, I get that, and it fits. It doesn't seem unnatural. It's not too impeding. There are some little bits that annoy me, like the horse. If the horse gets dirty, you have to brush it. And I go, right, really? Like, otherwise it slows it down. You go, that feels like you're taking it a bit too far. But again, it kind of gives me a reason to go, right, I'll be upgrading that bit. Like, I don't know. It's absolutely hypercritical because I don't actually mind doing those little bits. I just think I've got a lot on my plate here at the moment, and I'm having to worry about brushing a horse.
You've got to build that bond with the horse so that you can. He got some more stamina and doesn't spook during battle. You build it up, and then when you eventually run it off a cliff by accident, it dies. You'll lose it forever.
I'll be in tatters for that. I've already done that once. It wasn't a cliff; it was more of a ledge, and it is fucking harrowing. That's another thing that was annoying me. I was doing a mission where I was having to chase someone down on a horse, and I run out of somewhere and there's a rock there, and I literally went flying over this rock, and I come flying off, and I thought, for fuck's sake, got back on it, and then about 20 seconds later did exactly the same thing further down the line, and I was like, the thing is, again, it goes back to my earlier point, it's not unrealistic, but because my brain has been trained for 20 years to expect it not to react to a rock, when it does, it annoys me, because I think, right, are we at this point now in gaming where we can actually be realistic enough where I go, right, don't be hitting that rock or I'm going flying?
No. Has anyone die yet?
No, I haven't.
Impending doom, people are saying.
It's going to annoy me because it's starting from scratch. I spent a bloody fortune on that bastard.
Just be careful with them, and you'll be all right. I think. Presentation wise, it's. I mean, I'm playing it on the X on a 4K telly, so it looks really nice for me, and it seems like it looks nice across the board. But you're obviously on the stock Xbox One, OG Xbox, and then a HD TV. How's it looking? On that particular screen, is it what you'd hoped for in terms of? Because remember, this is Rockstar's first game proper into this generation. Obviously, GTA 5 was remastered for this, but in terms of a new game, this is their first sort of stab at it.
It looks bloody good.
Yeah.
There's no other word for it. I
have that Adkins telling you it's blurry if you're not careful, though. So your copy's blurry.
It ain't.
He's
blurry.
Heard about it. he's heard it's blurry.
It's probably one of the clearest games I've ever played. So what we
It's
doing?
that thing I always go back to. If you compare them side by side, obviously you can see the difference.
Yep.
But if you're just booting up and playing it for the first time, and you're not even going to have a 4K telly in sight with an Xbox One X, you're not going to bloody notice.
No,
it's still going to look good.
It's one of those things where it's like we went to Halls and we watched the F1 and that in 4K, and you went, "Good Jesus, that is clear." And I remember coming home and I put my TV on. I went, "What the fuck is this?
Yeah.
What is this blurry mess?" But then after you just adjust and you go, "That's what it is."
Yeah.
As I say, I haven't got a PC. I don't play a lot of high-end graphical games. I mean, put it this way: the most graphical game I've played probably in a long old time is Battlefield 1, and that looks good to me.
That was a lovely looking game.
So yeah, it looks good. It's good enough for me. I don't know. I would love to sit here and play it on a 4K TV, and it would look fantastic, I'm sure. But it looks good enough to me as it is. It looks fantastic. I don't know what else to say.
No, yeah, it's a great looking game. So it's very. They obviously spend a lot of time making sure the presentation side of it is top notch, and that's it's like a staple of Rockstar games.
Got bloody 6 years to do it, then I should piss in my hope. So that's what I'll say.
100-hour weeks being worked, for fuck's sake. That's what I'm being told. There's all sorts to be getting on with. Outside of the main mission structure, there's like side quests obviously you can do. There's little small errands you can run for camp members. There's treasure maps to track down. There's legendary animals to hunt. There's just hunting as a standard if you want to do that, to fill out this compendium. Content-wise, for a single-player game, there's a fucking awful lot to do here, isn't there?
I'll be honest, I feel a bit all overwhelmed by it all at the minute. It's a lot, and that feels, again, it sounds like a negative, and it's not. There is just there's just so much to do, and I'll log on at some point tonight, and I'll go, where do we start here then? Because I don't want to just blast through.
No,
the campaign. Like I got a bloody.
Well, there's a competition going on. Adkins is set up. You're only 28% through with 19 hours or whatever it is. Not good enough.
I've sort of decided that I will not have an agenda. I don't know what the best way to do is. I don't know whether to go on there and go, right, I'm going to crack through some story, or I'm going to get on there and go and get my hair cut. Like, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? I don't know whether that's the way to do it, or whether to just get on and see where it takes you.
Yeah.
Like, because it's one of them games where, like, there's times when I've been going along and there'll be a random side quest that pops up or something going on. Like, it's only little, and I think, right, I'll do that, and I end up somewhere else, and I'll go, do you know what's in here? There's so much going on all the time that there's never nothing to do. Yeah. And I feel like I've only scratched the surface of it slightly. I haven't properly been hunting. I got scared off by a bear that I don't want to touch.
Lethal.
There's a lot to do. It's without just going. You could sit here and talk just about what there is to do probably for about an hour. It's phenomenal. As I say, we've spent into the, you're probably above 20, you're probably into the 30 hours probably nearly now. And as you say, I don't feel like I've even scratched the surface particularly of it. I feel like I'm just getting to know the game 24 hours in or something, which is incredible, and I don't feel annoyed at it like that. Like some games you get there and you think, oh, how much longer, mate?
Yeah. How long are you going to be, mate? So what's a goblin?
Yeah, but I don't. But I don't feel like that on this. I feel like I want to spend the time to get to know it, and I kind of feel like Rockstar have spent God knows how long developing this game, and they've only released it now because they feel like it's where it should be. That I should spend a similar amount of time getting to know it and enjoying it. I'm not putting any time limit on when I want to complete it, or if I go on there
review
and spend 2 hours fucking about with a bucket, then so be it. The customization goes quite deep on it. You can spend a lot of time having your hair cut. Another thing that we haven't touched on is that your beard grows and your hair grows. The longer that grows, you can then have different hairstyles. The depth of it is phenomenal.
On that point, I really like the fact that your hair grows not in real time, but in game time, basically. But you can't just, be a skinhead and then go, actually, I want to have a ponytail now. You have to actually wait for your hair to grow long enough for you to style it, and your beard the same. So
that's a really nice touch, that, because that's one thing that weirdly annoyed me in GTA that shouldn't have, is that I can go from having a skinhead to having, as you say, a ponytail and a beard in an instant. I can walk in with no hair and come out with hair, and I go, right.
Yeah.
But as you say, I don't know if that would sit too well in GTA. But in this, where clearly time is required, weirdly, things develop with time. Like, there's been times where it's like you can't do that now because stuff's going on or whatever.
Yeah.
That you can't. You have to. I just think that's quite a nice little touch.
Yeah, no, what it does for me, and I really enjoy sort of RPing in these games, like playing the character and doing things as I feel like they would, and this gives you so many opportunities to do that. Like, if you get in a fight or you fall over in the mud and you're all fucking muddy, you think, oh fuck it, I'll go for a bath now.
Yeah, it's weird that it's like when I fell off my horse and I've landed in some fucking mud, I literally had mud on me, and I think someone said to me, "Clean yourself up." And I was like,
they do, yeah.
I was like, that's such an obvious little thing, but I was like, it's so adaptable to what's going on. And it's like, I without leading too much, I had blood on me into my actions, but I had blood on me, and I walked back into camp and someone said, you might want to clean yourself up. What are you doing? Basically. And I was like, I should probably get changed. So there's a couple of nice little things like that are probably quality of life, aren't they? In that it just reels it up a little bit for you, which is nice. But there's such it's the attention to detail that I like. Like, it's some of the attention to detail bugs me. Like, when I'll be running and I'll hit something and I'll come flying off or whatever, or stuff like that might annoy me. But once I've got used to it and understood how the mechanics work, I won't do it so much. But as I say, the quality of life additions have added a sort of bring it to that next level for me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the attention to detail is superb, and it's always been, again, another staple alongside presentation has been Rockstar's incessant, focus on attention to detail, and I kind of love that. It kind of gives the world just that extra layer of depth and lets you feel like this is actually a living, breathing world outside of your actions, and you're just a part of it, wandering around. Like, you're not completely running the show. People just react dynamically to you. One final thing, and then we will close it down. In terms of main missions, and again, we don't want to go into any story spoilers or any sort of set piece or anything like that, but how are you finding the actual activities that you're carrying out during the main missions that you've come across so far? Are you enjoying them? Because again, Rockstar had this knack, especially in GTA 5, sort of, you're doing, you're normally in GTA 5 shooting someone or chasing someone or driving somewhere, but they have a knack of making it feel unique each time. Does that still hold true with Red Dead Redemption 2?
Yes. So I like the variations. You don't go from like one shoot up to another shoot up to another shoot up.
They let it all breathe, don't they?
They let you rest from it. You'll sort of go from a chase or whatever, you'll get that sorted, then you'll go on to something else that's a little bit more low key or a little bit slower the pace, and they'll speed it up. And I like the way that they do that, because you don't get sick of anything. And the good thing is that I've found is that one thing that I fucking hate about games is when they go, right, you got to do this stealthily, and if you try and do it any other way, it doesn't work. We know this. I don't enjoy it, but the way that Rockstar set these up is they go, right, we need to be quiet here. That's the optimum way of doing it. Naturally, I will fuck that up, right? I know I'm going to fuck that up. They know I'm going to fuck it up. But it doesn't just be a blow. Like, they just you can recover and do it in another way. And if you fuck it up, then it just becomes a full blown gun shootout. And even that's good. So I like the way that the missions are not so linear. In that if you get spotted or if something goes wrong, that it's just game over. It lets you play it through it. So they're all very good. As I say, I haven't at no point do I sit there and go, "Oh, I've just gone through the motions there." I find them, or have found them all so far, pretty engaging, and they're all so different. As I say, without getting into the whats and wherefores, 1 minute you might be getting into a story about something, and you're going from one place to another, figuring something out. You might be getting into a gunshot battle, going to figure. It's all so varied that it never seems boring.
No, absolutely. Final question: Has it so far? Is it living up to what you had hoped for with Red Dead Redemption 2 in terms of hype and anticipation?
Oh, absolutely. I can't sit here.
Slagged it off for 40 minutes.
As I said, it's absolute hypercritical of it because it is so well polished. It's almost gone to a next level that my brain isn't ready for yet. I think that's what the problem is that they've created this living, as we've said before, this living world, this living Wild West, if you know what I mean, that you're now part of. And I'm learning the world that they've given me, and it's just the depth of the game is incredible. But I do at this moment in time feel a bit overwhelmed by it all. I don't know, as I say, it's far bigger than I anticipated in terms of running from one side to the other. The mechanics I'm getting to know. It absolutely is living up to my expectations. But for a long time I haven't sat down with a game like this and just gone, I want to play the next mission or I want to do that. But at the same time, spend an hour fucking about in camp or cutting my hair. I made a concerted effort to go to the barbers. Just because I wanted to go and cut my hair and before I went to see someone. And I was just like, why have I done that? Why have I felt the need to do that? So the way that it immerses you, I think, is impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to a stage where the story. I've done a few story missions, and I was like, I'm at a stage now where it's a bit quieter on that front, should we say? Yeah. And I thought there's missions to do, but they don't seem like they're urgent. So I was like, I'm now going to go on like a big adventure and stay out in the wilderness, do all the side quests and other activities that I've sort of missed as I've gone round and clean those up for a little while. So I made an effort to go to the barbers, get my hair cut, then have a bath afterwards, put some nice clothes on, go out on the horse, set up camp, and then I'm ready just to pick that up. And then I'm wondering what state I'll return to camping in a few days' time, how long my beard will be, the hair, all that good stuff. And it'll feel like I've just been on like an adventure and that might take me a week of real time playing it in bursts or whatever over a couple of hours. So that could be a week's worth of like real time adventure in a few days in the actual game. And then when I return, maybe I'll go back to the story. But it lets you do that, gives you the freedom to do that, and that's what I kind of love about the game so far, is just being off the hook and being allowed to do what I want and really RP the world and the character. So impressed so far. I think people will have criticisms of it, like combat wise. I feel people will point at that and say that hasn't really changed too much, which is a fair point. But if you enjoyed it first time round, does it need to change? But yeah, loving it so far. I encourage anyone out there to buy it if you haven't done so already. If you enjoyed the first one especially, this is a natural follow-up. And we will be back at some point in the future with a review. I don't know who's going to do it or when, because we're just wary of breaknecking through it and spoiling the experience. We all want to savour this, don't we? And make sure we're doing what we need to do. It's going to be it's going
to be a difficult game to just go, I'm done with it.
Yeah.
Obviously, a time will come when you are done with it, but not quite sure when. It doesn't feel like a game immediately that I can just go, right, there's 20 hours required there, and then when it's done, it's done.
No,
because a lot of games you can leave collectibles and stuff behind, but I don't know how much of it. I don't know. It's really well, as I say, 25 hours already. I think there's 100 hours there.
Oh yeah, easy. I can see that happening for me, and looking forward to it. I don't think I'll be buying another game for a long time. I'm just going to focus on this. Maybe I'll bust out the Switch now and again, but primarily, I'm not like I know the online mode's supposed to be coming at some. We don't know what it is yet, but it's supposed to be coming in November. I'm not even interested in that at all.
No, weirdly, neither am I. Like genuinely, I'm quite enjoying the solo nature of it, and I can't say that for a game for a long since Drake's.
Yeah, Uncharted
4. I think that was the last
Biff
time.
Called it Drake's.
Yeah.
He's poisoned you.
Couldn't think of the name initially, but that was the last time. I think I might have got. I got that on release, I believe.
Yes.
And that was the last time I enjoyed a solo game as much as this.
Yeah,
I think
it's certainly got the caliber for that. One thing, I mean, we played a lot of GTA Online.
Yeah.
After enjoying the campaign, but the one thing I would say about GTA Online is when I was playing that, you suddenly just don't appreciate what's there, like because you're just hounding around, fucking about with your mates. Like you don't really appreciate what they've got there. And it felt like I was enjoying my time there. It kind of diluted how good a game that was at times because I was just sort of casually playing it, I guess. You're not really immersed, are you? Just waffling around, fucking about online and
trying to stop paper blowing up petrol stations with rocket launchers.
Exactly. It just felt like it kind of fouled on my memories of what GTA 5 was or is, because we'd spent so much time in online just pissing around. It became almost like, GTA 5, that's the online game, isn't it? Like that's almost
I know what you mean,
became.
yeah.
And I'm a bit wary of that happening here because I'm enjoying just not having that interference, like someone else just interfering with me or fiddling around. That I don't even know if I'm going to play much of the online stuff. I'm tempted just to. I'm definitely not playing it until I've finished with not just the campaign, but with the single player aspect of it. So if that's whatever that is, that ends up being. But there's another fear. I think, do I even want to play it online to dilute what I've had?
At the moment,
I'll give it a go.
Desire. Yeah.
No, I've got zero desire. Later on down the line, I'll give it a go. But I don't want it because we've put fucking 70, 80 hours into GTA Online on its own. More than that, probably.
Oh, I don't even want to know how much I've put into that over the years.
No. And I kind of don't want to do that with Red Dead. I don't know why.
No,
it feels like
I don't know. I don't know what
betrayal of Arthur and Marston.
I don't know what I want from it. Like the thing is, I could say that now, and then they'd start talking to me about us doing our own saloon,
bank robberies and whatnot,
bank robberies together, and it all of a sudden becomes a completely different like scenario, doesn't it? Because all of a sudden, if they can go, you can have your own gang, you can set up your own camp. You can do all that stuff. You can have your own stables and do it becomes a completely different complexion. If they do the online co-op, like the heist theory, but with this, does that become a whole load more attractive?
Yeah, I'm under. That's naive for me to say I wouldn't be interested because you're right. As soon as they roll that trailer out and show what it's doing, I'll be like, cool.
Yeah, and then we'll be scheduling those in for Monday nights. Like, and it can change as quickly as that.
I would 100% resist it, though, until I was comfortable with putting down the single-player campaign. I'm that guy that always used to play through Call of Duty campaign before playing multiplayer. If it took a week or 2 weeks, I used to always do that, and I'll be doing the same here. But I know under no illusions really that we'll end up putting some time into it and potentially a lot if it's any good. We've got people like Chappers and Parky who have seemingly bought it just for the online component when that drops sometime in November. So there's a posse there waiting for camp to be set up, and I don't want to be first through the door if I'm honest. I'll stay with Arthur and just make sure he's all right. I
don't think I'm too weirdly because I obviously love a bit of multiplayer, but not that I feel burnt out by it. But I think I've had so much.
Fortnite, isn't it?
Well, it has, yeah. I deliberately put that down because I was like, that's multiplayer only, and I'm quite happy with the it's just me and Arthur going through it together at the minute, and I'm quite happy about that.
And your horse.
And my horse, yeah. That I named a girl's name and then realised it was a boy. Had to figure out how to go and change that. That was a blow. For some reason, I'd already made up my mind that it was going to be that name. And I didn't even check. And then he started going, "It's all right, boy." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Where's the boy?" I was like, "No, I've got to change the bloody name."
Human, just don't do that of a real life human.
Yeah,
just make sure you get the names right.
Well, weirdly, I've done it, done exactly the same, IRL. But no, it's all good.
All good. Well, that's Red Dead Redemption 2. That is a long old impressions segment there.
Yes, it is.
I think the overall high level is that we are really enjoying it. We are being, the criticisms we've made are probably hypercritical, or perhaps even a lack of understanding, because it's not the clearest of games at times of what it needs you to do and what it wants you to do. And the trouble is, the stuff we've complained about is optional stuff, really. Like, if you just want to play through the story, it's clear as day what's required at that point.
Yeah.
There's the good thing they've done with the camp, and I will shut up about this game in a minute, but the good thing they've done is it doesn't seem like there's any requirement for the camp to actually be in a good state. Sure, they'll bitch and moan and say there's no food and all that, but if you leave it, like, it's not like they said, "Oh, you've got to have a camp status of 60% to advance the story," because that would have been a blow. Like, if they'd made you look after that camp, but you can essentially wash your hands of it and go, "Well, fuck you lot. I'm putting $500 in. I've not seen you put your hand in that fucking pot once." So
giving you bloody 5 pocket watches already. What more do you want? Cash them in.
Yeah.
No,
get them cashed in.
I've done relatively little towards the camp so far. That's one of the next things I wanted to do, is get them reds ticked off. And it hasn't harmed anything. No one's bitching at me, but obviously at the same time, I don't get the benefits of it as quickly. So it swings and roundabouts, but it is good that it's there as an option. And it's these brains, isn't it? That's the problem. Yeah. If you're one of these people that can just turn a blind eye to it and just crack on with the story, you won't even notice. But because I don't like the idea that I'm not doing everything that Rockstar have given me, that bothers my brain.
Not playing dominoes or whatever, trying to win a dominoes hand.
Well, again, I was sitting there playing bloody poker for ages. This is what I mean. I was like, what am I doing? I was like, it's not even. I don't even give a shit about this money. It's not even mine. I was like, what am I sitting here playing poker for? It's ridiculous. Honestly, the amount of time that you can sit there just wasting away. I was like, I know how to play poker, I'll just do that. And I was like, after a little while, I was like, right, I'm wasting my time here. I was like, I don't need to be doing this, do I? Incredible.
There's a lot to do. And we could do a whole separate podcast on just the activities that you can do outside. Yeah. It truly is insane what they've done with it. But all good things have to come to an end. Yeah. And that'll be the end of our segment on Red Dead Redemption 2. That's our impressions after a weekend or so of playing it. Like I said, I don't think we'll do a follow-up to this. It'll probably just be the review at some point with whoever fancies reviewing it. So keep your eyes posted for that on the Twitters. And I don't think we even update Facebook anymore, so probably best to ignore that. Well, I'll do one of them and I think, I'll still have one. I mean, Adkins is meant to be social media manager and he ain't doing it, so there's
I haven't seen him post one thing, have I?
No. And that's the concern. When you get these sort of roles, you've got to grab them by the bollocks, and there will be changes within the structure of DIMP Digital coming up, but nothing more for us to say though, apart from thanks for your time and ta-da.